Hello, friends. It's you, Giuliano. It is a Sunday, and I thought I would share with you my thoughts around the Pirate Chain price chart. So we're going to jump into it. It's been a while since I did a Pirate Chain price chart video, feels like. So yeah, let's see how this goes. This is a weekly time frame. Let's first go to the daily. Yeah. Actually, no, we're starting at the weekly because I just want to recognize one thing and then we'll come back to the weekly afterwards. But we are getting a nice bounce off this 20 weekly moving average. So, I mean, that's positive. Trying to find support at this kind of level here. But again, this is our BTC. And just because you make a support off here once doesn't mean it can't go through there. So. But that's a different story than we had back here the last time that it tested the 20-week moving average from above. So after we blew off this top, we were hoping, best case scenario, you can get some, well, maybe you don't even come to the 20-week moving average down here below this, but you did. You came to it below there. You came pretty quickly down there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red candles in a row. This one, although it made a lower low, it is now bouncing back up off of that 20 weekly moving average region. So that's good. However, the weakness in this chart now, if we want to look at weakness, let's look at weakness here. Is this, okay, kind of getting rejected by this level. You see, we got rejected. So we've made this cluster here, and now we've made a lower high. We didn't even challenge the highs of that cluster. So that's relative weakness in my opinion. However, if it's part of a low, a higher low, a higher low, then sure, no problem. Then it'll just go higher. But okay, we also want to take a look at opportunities, or sorry, options where, maybe it has some bounce, but then it breaks down. Well, probably the next level we're looking at is this uptrending slope. But also realistically, when we take, we take these two lows here and we connect them with a trend line. Okay, for now, this first trend line is basically from the pump start, then to these supports. If we take from here to here and go across this other low, we start reaching into the territory of the lower end of the Bollinger Band. And, it's very common. It's very common to go from one end of the Bollinger Band to the other end of the Bollinger Band, back to the other, to the lower end. So if you go from lower to upper, down to lower, okay? So that's totally possible. And now is the Bollinger Band going to be all the way down here at about 12,000, sorry, 1,200 Satoshis at that time, around this type of support previous resistance level? Maybe, but that would have to be pretty quick. Otherwise, maybe the Bollinger Band will start to move up. Maybe you actually end up, especially if you get a bounce here, maybe you end up catching your support here. That would be okay. So yeah, now the other thing I wanted to note is this continuing waning positive momentum. So it's relatively negative, and that's what you see. That's what you see here. So even though we have green, it's relatively negative, and you can see what a big dump it is. So what I'm thinking is, there's, just like we throw up a ball high in the air, comes back down, and it'll bounce, but then it'll come back down again. It won't bounce as high as the first throw, unless it's a pretty cool ball. So yeah, so generally that's the thinking. And then maybe it takes longer, or maybe then it's ready to go for a bigger pump. But that's what I'm seeing is some potential negative momentum, but it doesn't have to be big, and it can be smaller than this cluster here. It could be a shorter duration. And remember, just like we got positive movement here, let me just double check something. Where did it start? Yeah, no, because even that really it was slowing down here as we were relatively positive, but the big pump move started in the green. But what I'm trying to say is, you might come down here, And then as you're turning relatively positive, you could start getting either flattening of the price or even some move up. So yeah, just because it's negative doesn't mean the price has to go down the whole time. And just because it's positive in the histogram doesn't mean that the price has to go up the whole time. As you can see, once you start coming down lower, you know, you're already dumping in the price. So this is the weekly price chart. We're just at the beginning of the month, so I'm not going to use the monthly to really go further into it, but I'm getting the sense that it's not going to, we're not pumping right away. I don't think. And let's use the daily chart to take a look why. Okay. Well, so the weekly chart really is more for a longer term idea of like why we might not be pumping right away for a big move in the next, like maybe even in this month, but we'll see. Now, in terms of momentum here, well, let's just quickly take a look first at the price action, and then I'll show you momentum. You can already see it down here if you're looking. Yeah, we traded through the Ichimoku cloud, not even any real support at these levels, maybe just at the top here. You know, starting to get like a little bit small body candles as we're trying to find support. You even got a bounce there, but then once you're in the cloud, it's like it accelerated. The price action was just pretty massively big. Now it bounced off the 200-day moving average, okay, and this kind of price zone of resistance, okay. But really, it was the 200-day moving average, nice big bounce. First, it was in this red candle. I don't know where, like, you know, maybe from here it went up and then came back down. We bounced back into the Ichimoku cloud and rejected, and even stayed below the lower band of the Bollinger Bands. Now the price is moving slowly back into the Bollinger Band at the lower end. Now we're meeting significant resistance at the Ichimoku cloud and the 20-day moving average, okay? But this is relatively strong price action. I mean, it's holding up decently. It's not just flattening out at the 200-day, and it definitely didn't break down yet. And the positive thing to look forward to here that I'm seeing is a potential of this cross, okay? A bullish MACD cross is possible. We've seen before, we've definitely seen before where, you know, it might even just cross for like a day or two. And you can see that on Bitcoin. Stay tuned for the next Bitcoin video if you're interested. But yeah, it could cross and then come back down, right? It's totally possible. You know, get like one, maybe two little green guys there, but positive histogram bars, but you know, you've spent a lot of time in negative territory. So yeah, just like the previous thesis, doesn't mean you're going to start going much higher in the positive. You know, you might just get a small little island of histogram or whatever, but it is a relief, and it is a positive upward swing. So I'm guessing that's a possibility. Of course, like I said, it might not, and you might just continue with the negative momentum and continue this massive island of negativity. Yeah, so there you go. That's the general thought about the momentum. So it is saying to me on the daily that, you know, we might continue with a bit of positive momentum. But again, well, right now we're getting rejected by the lower end of the cloud and the underside of the 20-day moving average. So yeah, it's totally possible we might need to come back down first. And when I look at the RSI, it gives a similar kind of vibe, like maybe, you know, you bounce from a low, come back up, and then it needs to come back down again before it can proper pump. So that's possible, you know, maybe it's got to come back down, retest this 200-day moving average, retest the lower end of the Bollinger Band. That's possible as well. So it's really, we're going to see how this momentum changes. Are we going to get a bullish MACD cross, and for how long? Is it just going to be some rejections in this cloud? Are we going to go, there's also a possibility go up to about 4,500 Satoshis at the previous kind of support level turned resistance level. And It's Ichimoku cloud, top range of the Ichimoku cloud. It is also the top end of the Bollinger Band. So yeah, I mean, it's totally possible. You know, we went from the top end of the Bollinger Band down to the lower end of the Bollinger Band. I mean, we hugged it all the way down and expanded it. And now the next choice is either you know, you get some sort of bounce and then you figure it out. And it just could be more sideways, it could be more down, whatever. Or you get your bounce to the top of the Bollinger Bands, and then you find some sort of next move, retracing that. And then the question becomes, is it a higher low? Is it a lower low? You know, like what happens after that? We could take a look at that point. I don't think it's necessary to go too far into it. Right now, the price though is fighting these resistance levels that we've previously held, okay, as you can see. So it's definitely a key level on the daily price chart. And it is an area where we, like I said, we have a strong possibility for a bullish MACD cross, okay? However, how long lasting will it be? How impactful will it be? Well, I mean, for me, the impact is at least there's the potential to not dump right away, and at least you can gain some strength and some relief into this zone before coming back further down. Best case scenario, no matter what the price does here, best case scenario is holding the 200-day moving average. That is huge. Now, we held it kind of here as a bit of a supportive price action, consolidating, and we've bounced here significantly. So if you can't hold it, that's gonna mean some prolonged bearishness in terms of the price staying, you know, more so in this kind of level. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing for now. And now the other question is, you know, well, maybe like, what's the better idea? Do you wait and get some confirmation of strength and then buy more? Or do you, and I know this is financial advice, but we're just doing some thought experiments here. Or do you wait and maybe it goes up a bit, seeing that it's going to go up a bit potentially, but then it comes back down, and then you reconfigure and decide what's happening, and based on the price action, then you make a decision. But this is an R BTC price chart, and that would mean if you're using your BTC to purchase the R, to exchange for the R. But speaking of which, you know, really looking forward to the Atomic Dex integration of Pirate Chain in the wallet with some atomic swaps. That's going to be great, and you know, that's going to be huge, right? And yeah, so then you can just directly do it in Atomic Dex. But for now, yeah, you'd be using some BTC to play this exchange. So the question is, though, maybe the BTC, you know, maybe it's going to be all right because the BTC price is dumping, and therefore the R price is going higher against BTC. But then the question becomes, well, if you're not using BTC and instead you're using USD, let's say, or fiat of some sort, then how does that compare? Because maybe BTC is, you know, let's just imagine Pirate Chain kind of goes up as BTC capitulates a bit or something, and then it starts coming down against BTC as BTC is pumping. Well, even if it's coming down against BTC, maybe it's still going up against the USD. So unless you are already having BTC to play against R, that you want to use to play against R, then you're probably going to use the fiat, in which case we're going to take a look at the fiat chart, the USDT chart against R. I also want to notice the price cluster here has been significant in terms of this range here, all the way across. Okay, interesting. All right, so it's always helpful to look left and look at price clusters and see what type of behavior is there. All right, let us move on. So I think I've made enough points here that should make sense. Again, thanks for your likes and your comments and all that good stuff. So yeah, we're going to see what happens here. A big question is, are we going to get a MACD, bullish MACD cross? Okay, on the daily. On the weekly, question is, are we going to be getting, and when, but are we going to be getting a bearish MACD cross? And maybe not. But you know, you throw your ball up, it comes down, it bounces, and then it comes back down. and then it finds some sort of equilibrium, and then it can move up, potentially. Of course it can move down, but we're not going to think about that just quite yet. We're first going to focus on what's the momentum going to be doing over the course of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks, you know, as this thing wanes. Okay, so that's daily here, and previously is weekly here. And so you can see that on a weekly, it's looking like it wants to turn over. On the daily, it looks like it wants to turn up. So in that case, I'm thinking turn up for a little bit, whether it's a day, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and then come back down. That's the sense I'm getting. And yeah, maybe it's just going to be a small little histogram island. Okay, that's it for R against BTC. And for now, I think we're done with that. We are going to switch over to the R against USDT price chart. Here we are. Beauty. Okay. Let's go to the weekly as well, just to start there. And it's basically a similar idea. Basically a similar idea. I thought I had arranged these. Anyway. Yeah, it's like, are we going to be getting a bearish MACD cross sometime soon in the next week or two, or is it going to turn around and go higher? I mean, all signs point to a bit of a bearish cross, but it doesn't mean that it can't continue with positivity. We've seen that happen before in all kinds of other charts as well. Now, we're not done the week yet, but we're basically 3 hours, 20 minutes away roughly. And if the price stays around here, then we're rejecting at the underside of this 20-week moving average. So that is bearish. And we went from kind of the lower end of the Bollinger Band to the upper end. And now the question is, can we hang around here and stay strong at this important juncture, which is previous kind of support zones, which then broke down and became resistance. Yeah, but I don't think that's as significant in terms of, you know, where the support is. I don't see this as like a major support level in I mean, it's significant enough. Let's just put it that way. It's significant enough, but I don't think it's going to be the like the line in the sand per se. I think the 20-week moving average is important enough as well. Okay, so this is against the dollar, right? At least this one went a little bit higher against the previous price cluster there, about to the middle of it, where it was like previously supporting, and then it became resisting. If we pop in one of these, and we take it from here, okay. So, I mean, it was previously acting as support, then it became resistance, rejection. So it makes sense. Okay, you get rejected there, significant level. Let's see what happens next. You know, is there going to be more negative price momentum to the downside? And will it just be small, or will it be bigger? Ideally, we want to look for this is not as important as this. We want the higher low than this. That would be ideal. Especially, we're going to go into the daily now. Especially because now this price here is trading within this wave here. This wave here, the price is in there. So that means this won't be an impulsive move higher. It's more likely a zigzag type of move. And now we're retracing it. So if we want to take retracement, I mean, we're currently at the 50, and the lower end of the Bollinger Band here, if it needs to dump down further, is around $1. Okay, and it's at this previous price cluster here, this previous support resistance level here. If we, supportive, then it broke down, and then it resisted here. So maybe that becomes an important level for us to watch in terms of support. So, I mean, I'll leave this here. What else? Okay. The other thing is, man, there's so many things going on here. Similar to the BTC, our BTC price chart, we're looking for a potential MACD bullish cross. We've had a significant time within this negative momentum histogram. So yeah, but is it going to just be a little fizzle, or is it going to be something a bit more substantial? And that's when I look at this move here. All right, this move here. So you came down, you dumped down, and then you were able to pump up only to dump down further. But when we look at the price, we realize it actually made a significant bullish divergence. So we can watch for something like that here. But yeah, it dumped down. Maybe it needs to come up first and then dump down again before it can go higher. So we'll see about that. I'm guessing that that's a good possibility. And of course, this type of level here will be the zone that I think we might have difficulty getting past. Maybe it goes above, but it'll likely come back down. So that's what I'm thinking. I think that would be relatively healthy, especially we doubled up on the oversold. So if we can double up on the, we doubled up on the overbought. So if we can double up on the oversold, that would be helpful potentially. And yeah, oftentimes it doesn't go from overbought to oversold to overbought again. Usually overbought to oversold to something in between, and then wherever it needs to go next. Maybe it chops here, then goes there, or whatever. But it doesn't necessarily oscillate between these two right away. Okay. So that's that thought. And what else are we looking at? Okay, I don't think I mentioned this. We at least got a bit of support within this cloud here, the Ichimoku cloud, but eventually dumped down hard below the 200. So this orange line is the 200-day moving average. Let's make it thicker. So one concern here is we're going to have the 20-day moving average cross the 200-day moving average, which would relatively be bearish because then you'd have the price underneath all of them and potentially get rejected by the 20. We'll see. You've also got this Ichimoku cloud here as a resistance. So price goes up and price comes down potentially. So all of this 20, 200, Ichimoku is all acting as potential significant resistance. And that relates to this previous resistance zone, previous support. Even this was previous support. So if you want to look, yeah, you can see what I mean. So I guess all I'm saying is we might see a bit of move up, but I don't think we are done whatever corrective activity we are within. Let's see. If we were to do a full type of retrace without making a lower low, so we make a higher low, potentially 88.6. Wow, that's like 75 cents. That could be on some serious BTC dumpage. 78.6 would be nicer, and at least we could hold this type of low. But so far, we're watching for this dollar level at 61.8. And that's it. That's the dollar price chart of Pirate Chain. I think, yeah, I think that's all I have to say, really. I hope this has been helpful for you. I guess what I was trying to say too is that, look, we don't know what BTC is going to do, but this Pirate Chain price chart seems to signify that there's potential to buy a bit lower, but then again, maybe not. Maybe as it finds positive momentum first, maybe it gets high enough that when it comes down, it kind of stays at these lows. And some of us might say, you know what, what's the difference between $1.25 and $1? yes, it's 25%, and sure, I could get 25% more R, but maybe that's what dollar cost averaging is about. You get some down here, and then when it goes up, you don't buy more, and when it comes back down, you do buy more. I mean, that's a possibility too. Again, none of this financial advice, but I know you're here because you like Pirate Chain and you want Pirate Chain and you want more of it, right? So yeah, that's it. I'm done. I think I've covered everything I would want to on this price chart. Let's just make sure the weekly, I didn't miss anything. Yeah, potential bearish MACD cross on a weekly, which would mean a longer downturn. Of course, with a potential move up first. Maybe the move up again leads to here $1.80. Wow, I don't know if we get to $1.80 at these rejections, especially on the daily price chart. I mean, you're really getting to the upper end of the Ichimoku if you're at $1.80. So, but then you're at this lower end, this type of this support level, turning resistance. So, yeah, let's see. Good luck out there. Eh? I will finish this video now. How do I get out of here? That's how I get out of here. All right, stay tuned for some BTC price action video too, if you're interested in that. And other than that, I'm wishing you all the love, peace, and happiness and R that you can manage. Until next time, goodbye.